ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la. And I'm up again. I got tired eyes, need a cup of blend. That's right, in the AM, that's my only friend. No light, just the sun coming up on the horizon. I lose track of time, yeah, I move fast and climb a new class divine, yeah, true passion shines. And I'm through passing time, I choose stacking dimes. You snooze half the time while I move passing by. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la.
Hey, y'all, what's up? Frank, Unique. Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up, Frank? Yep, it's free. Just sub up. I don't know. I'm not a very good promoter for stuff like this. Is his sister older or younger than him? I would say younger, or I mean older. I don't know. Can y'all hear me good? And I am on both channels. That's on purpose. Hey, Unique. I want to get in here to the thingy going on in stream as far as here. Let's see here. Where is it? Where is right here? I am going to stream WFLA, but I'm kind of scared too. Frank, I don't know. I haven't got that far yet. I haven't got to any links yet. Hey, Sonia. Hey, love. Excuse me. Let's see what's going on over here on WFLA. I'm scared to fucking stream them, man.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
Can someone post a link to this for me, if possible? This, let's see. No music.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here is JB Buno.
Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger leaving the courtroom after agreeing to waive his extradition, sending him back to Idaho to answer to 4 first-degree murder charges. And now just into the WFLA Now Stream Center, a feed from Pennsylvania, where Pennsylvania State Police will be speaking momentarily, giving their very latest on the case. JB here with you live, folks, on WFLA Now, alongside my colleague, WFLA's Josh Benson, hanging out with us here in the Stream Center. Again, the very latest on this story on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We just got in the feed moments ago from Pennsylvania State Police. They are going to be speaking. They have called a press conference here today. The exact reason for their press conference, I believe, I guess we'll find out here momentarily, but the exact reason why they are calling a press conference wasn't made exactly clear. They just want to discuss details, questions that they have been being asked about the apprehension of Bryan Kohberger, wanted, of course, and the suspect in the University of Idaho stabbing deaths. So this is the feed here in the center of your screen. We're about 5 to 10 minutes away, Josh.
Yep. Yeah, and we just heard actually watched, obviously, the video of Kohberger coming in and out of the hearing, the extradition hearing. A lot of people asking what happened inside of that hearing, and I'm starting to see some of the notes from some of the reporters. Bradley Warren's a reporter out there who was in the courtroom. He said, he kept looking at his mom and his sisters. At some point, he mouthed out something to them that was unclear, but he said that he made the decision voluntary, nothing more than yes, and I understand. We also found out that Ann Taylor will be the public attorney in Idaho when he is extradited back to the state of Idaho. So we're getting a few details of what happened during that hearing, as well as what's going to happen once he's extradited in terms of his defense.
So just confirming. So a public defender in Idaho.
Ann Taylor is her name, right?
Right. So so a public defender representing him in Pennsylvania, and then of course a public defender representing him in Moscow, Idaho. As we see here, look at the size of the group of media that have assembled here in the room. Really not all that surprised considering the magnitude of the case, but as soon as this press conference gets underway, we will, of course, turn up the audio. We will listen in and we'll take you here live, full screen. And in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll answer some questions here out of the YouTube Live comment section. We're about to relaunch on Facebook Live. Jordan asking, hashtags for us both, do you think that because he studies criminology, he has a plan? You know, I would imagine that the plan is very fluid and coming together. This is something that is going across now a couple of different states. But does his degree in criminology inform him on having a plan? We really don't know the answer to this question.
Well, I think, and the bigger question is, he's dealing with public defenders. Does he not have an attorney, nor maybe doesn't have the money to afford an attorney, a high profile attorney that's going to come out and represent him in this case? No bigger, higher profile.
Fuck, I was muted. There's another one that's going to stream it, I think. Law and Crime Network. If somebody could post the link to this when I share it, please and thank you.
Okay, this is a
Thank you, Frank.
question from Chris Lopez from YouTube. With the national attention that this has gained, would the trial be held in Latah County or be moved to Boise, such as in the Lori Vallow Daybell case?
I would completely believe that this will have a change of venue, and I would expect it to be Boise, where there's a much larger jury pool. I think the defense will really work to have that happen, and I think a judge would definitely grant that motion.
Some of the questions that we've been seeing are about whether or not he was stalking the victims, right?
I'm going to switch back and forth on these, and I might find another one. But I do like this Law and Crime Network channel. If y'all need something to watch, they cut a lot of cases on their channel, and they got them in sections and stuff. It's a really good channel. Check it out.
Some way he identified them. Could you have said, I mean, again, is it a possibility? He saw a house, randomly went in and killed everybody, I should say there were 2 surviving victims. Is that a possibility? Is it something about the house, or was it the victims? And if it's the victims, you'd have to imagine he saw them at some.
I'm watching WFLA too. I'm keeping an eye on it. We got this, y'all.
Into the house in the early morning hours of November 13th.
I think it's truly a combination. I think that the victims being female, obviously Ethan, I personally believe was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But
okay, Frank, post it one more time for me and I'll go. I'll try to get over there.
And I believe that the house posed what we call a soft target. And he realized, not only do I have the victim type that I'm looking for, now I also have a soft target where people are going in and out, where I'm on a cul-de-sac, so there's not a lot of traffic, or cul-de-sac type area where there's not a lot of traffic, where I can be seen. There's a beautiful tree line here that I can hide behind. I can surveil it quite easily. I think all of this combined together made for a perfect storm of a target that was easy for him.
And a college town. People are out late, People are screaming. You know, it's not uncommon for people to come back late. He picked such a susceptible target, but also, you know, such an interesting and unique one, to say the least, or at least he allegedly that this is what he's accused of doing. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll see if we can jump live to a press conference. Stay with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Adam Reed. I'm the Director of the Communications Office with the Pennsylvania State Police. Thank you for joining us here. The order of speakers is going to be our Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner, Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Major Christopher Paris, he's our Area 3 Commander, and First Assistant District Attorney, Monroe County, Mike Mancuso. After the speakers have finished, we will then take a handful of questions. Colonel Ivanchik.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police. While I monitored the investigation into the horrific murders of the University of Idaho students, I did not imagine the investigation would lead to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. My heart goes out to the families of the victims, their friends, the community of Moscow, and the University of Idaho. No words can heal the pain associated with the loss of a child. Their young lives were ended far too soon. In law enforcement, we understand the best thing we can do for victims and their families is to follow every lead, collect every piece of evidence, and bring those responsible to justice. I am proud of the members of the Pennsylvania State Police who were able to help in this investigation. The cooperative relationship between our local, state, and federal partners stands the test of time. The officers, troopers, and federal agents work together tirelessly, putting in long, difficult hours. Communication and cooperation are imperative to success and to ensure the integrity of the case remains maintained. The culmination of that cooperation ultimately led to take the suspect into custody and afforded the families some sense of peace they deserve. I want to thank the Moscow Police Department, the Idaho State Police, and our partners in the Federal Bureau of Investigation for their support, assistance, and coordination. I also want to recognize the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. And finally, I need to acknowledge the members of the Pennsylvania State Police, specifically members of Troop N, our Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and our Bureau of Emergency and Special Operations, who assisted in safely taking the suspect.
This is kind of just fucking word salad that they all say at these press conferences. It's what is he trying to tell? He told us nothing. He's told us nothing so far. I hate these fucking press conferences like these. Please give WFLA a like, sub, all that. Go over and check them out. They strike people, but yeah, they tell you nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing is what they tell you. It's crazy.
into custody in the early morning hours of December 30th. As previously indicated by Chief James Fry of the Moscow Police Department, specific details regarding this investigation cannot be released until the suspect is extradited to Idaho and presented with the probable cause affidavit. At this time, I will turn the microphone over to Major Christopher Paris, commander of Area 3, who was involved in the coordinated efforts to take the suspect into custody.
Duty, Ron.
Thank you, Colonel. Area 3 comprises troops F, P, N, and R, and is made up of 1,000 approximately of the women and men, civilian and enlisted, in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania. I'd like to introduce to my left Captain Norm Kramer, who's the commander of Troop N Hazelton, which is comprised of Carbon, Monroe, Columbia, and parts of Luzerne counties. I would like to reiterate, as the colonel said, that Idaho law prohibits any release of information contained within the affidavits. So we're going to do our best today to talk about what phase we are currently in the investigation. And it has entered a new phase with the waiver for extradition. And the continuing primary goal is the seeking of justice through successful prosecution and conviction, bearing the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So with that in mind, we're trying to balance essentially two things: the public's desire for information against the need to maintain the integrity of the investigation and protect. This begins when the Pennsylvania State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation troopers were.
This one is the next channel. I got WFLA paused. We can go back, but this is a better view. Let's watch this one too.
Wire.
Same thing.
Assistant Special Agent in Charge Dave Carter from the Philadelphia Field Division, as well as Supervisory Special Agent Bill Vigorito of the Scranton RA. We're very lucky in PSP to have a collaborative relationship with the Bureau, both in Pennsylvania and beyond, and their people are absolutely excellent. So as the investigation progressed, Troop N Criminal Investigation Section, commanded by Captain Kramer over my left shoulder here, began to collaborate with authorities in Idaho. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge Lieutenant James Curto, who was here today, Sergeant Anthony Ferdinand, Corporal John Chulak, who is not present with us, and Troopers Leary and Knoll, who are here with us today. It was through this collaboration and the charges pending in Idaho that those troopers were able to obtain search warrants and a fugitive from justice warrant that was prepared here in Monroe County for the location in Chestnut Hill Township and the fugitive from justice warrant for Mr. Koberger, respectively. I'd like to acknowledge the Monroe County District Attorney, David Christine, as well as First Assistant Mike Mancuso and their entire office. The support that we received was absolutely excellent. Once those warrants were obtained, the Bureau of Emergency and Special Operations, BESO, coordinates our Special Emergency Response Team, CERT. They were selected to serve those warrants, the 3 search warrants and the fugitive from justice warrant. To define what CERT is, it's a full-time tactical team maintained by PSP to deal with high-risk warrant situations, barricades, and other incidents requiring specialized tactical training or other capabilities. From their perspective, we essentially task them to go out and serve a arrest warrant for someone accused of a quadruple murder. They're activated several hundred times a year throughout the Commonwealth. We don't typically hear of their work in a forum like this because they serve the warrant, the person's taken into custody, and they go about their assignment. They are the ultimate professionals. It's a volunteer team. They're highly trained and highly motivated. Captain Norm Kramer over my left shoulder was assigned as the top comm for the CERT activation, which means he was responsible for coordinating our tactical preparations. So tactical assets were then staged in the county, in Monroe County, into the evening of Thursday, December 29th, last Thursday. And in the early hours of Friday, December 30th, those warrants were executed at the location. Mr. Koberger was taken into custody without incident. The scene was turned over to the FBI Evidence Response Team for processing. Mr. Koberger was then turned over to the Monroe County Prison, where he has remained in their custody since. I'd like to thank the Monroe County Sheriff and the Stroud Regional Police Department for their support as well during the extradition process. Arrangements currently are being made to deliver Kohberger back to Idaho, where he can have continued due process and face these charges. So it's with that, I will turn it over to First Assistant Mike Mancuso.
Thank you, Major. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Mancuso with the DA's office, the First Assistant District Attorney. I want to give my condolences to the families of the victims out in Idaho for their loss. It's my sincere hope that this marks a clear step in the right direction of effectuating justice for those folks. My office's role was relatively recent. We weren't advised of the presence of the defendant in our county until only a couple days before the apprehension of the defendant. But when we were told, we came together and worked very closely with Captain Kramer, who did an excellent job in almost like a clockwork operation. Part of my duties were to ensure that 3 separate search warrants were issued. Those affidavits attached to those search warrants are still under seal, so I can't discuss their contents with you. But one was for the person of Mr. Kohberger, collecting DNA and photographs, that sort of thing. One was for the white Elantra vehicle, which I understand has been seized and is being processed. And one was for the address, the residence itself that he was living in with his family. I was at the scene, and I have to say that Major Paris and Captain Norm Kramer did an outstanding job in coordinating the efforts, not only of the numerous Pennsylvania State Police troopers there, but officers from other jurisdictions and disciplines within those jurisdictions to make this a very smooth, highly competent professional operation. It is a quirk, apparently. It's not in the norm of the states I'm familiar with that Idaho does not release their probable cause affidavit in support of their arrest warrant until after their defendant is returned to that state. But having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents. So that's a significant development. Beyond that, looking at the scope of the situation and the ties this defendant has to my county, I would hold our office at the disposal of the Idaho authorities to help facilitate a complete background investigation into the defendant, both activities prior to the murders occurring within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and his activities after the murders in Pennsylvania. So we stand ready to assist with that effort on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
We can now open it up for questions.
Can you tell us what state police specifically did, or can you give us any indication as to the operations of state police, when you were notified? And you talked about putting tactical in the area. How long were they there? And what's the...
We're not in a position to give you an exact time. It was at some point prior to when the surveillance was taken as the investigation progressed to a point where search warrants could be obtained and the probable cause for those search warrants and an arrest warrant, a fugitive from justice warrant based on the arrest warrant out in Idaho were obtained. We began to take the tactical steps to plan to serve them.
Were you collecting evidence prior to his arrest?
At this point, like we said, it's very much pertinent to what's in the affidavits, which we cannot speak about.
What's it about his demeanor when the arrest actually happened?
Present sense impression, as likewise ongoing investigation, can't discuss it.
How, Robbman 69 News, how is Kohberger being transported back to Idaho?
Those arrangements are being discussed right now, as well as the logistics. The court order says, those of you who heard it today, it's within the next 10 days. So we're currently working on that in coordination with authorities out in Idaho. Sir, I can't comment. I don't know.
Is he being held in the Monroe County Jail until he's extradited, or is he removed to another?
No, he is lodged in the, since he was dropped off there Friday morning, he's resided in Monroe County Prison.
Still, until he's
Correct, yes.
extradited, he'll be there. Are the marshals holding him, or which group?
At this point, that's still being coordinated between the state police and the authorities out there. We don't know.
Will the affidavit be unsealed when he arrives in Idaho?
I don't want to speak out of my lane. When I watched the press conference on Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I was alerted to the fact that according to Idaho state law, that the affidavits have to be served to him once he's extradited back before they could be unsealed.
Did he say, has anyone else been arrested?
Ongoing investigation.
Has a motive been determined?
I can't comment on that either. I apologize.
Who transports him, sir? Does Pennsylvania State Police, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department?
He's presently back. He was transported from the courthouse by Monroe County Sheriff. And the logistics of who's going to transport him out to Idaho are still being discussed. We don't know. Yeah.
Can you confirm the time of his arrest and how much law enforcement presence there actually was?
I would say it was in the early morning hours of Friday, December 30th. Tactical assets on scene were probably in the neighborhood of 50.
Were you afraid he was going to get tipped off before you got him?
I would say overall about this entire operation, and the credit goes, this is a part that the state police played humbly. You look at Moscow Police Department, 38 sworn, 19.
Could you imagine being the one transporting him? Wonder how they're going to do it. They should fly him, because that is the quickest way to get him, because if they drive, that's kind of dangerous. You see so many people take over them prison vans and shit, you know what I mean? And like he said, he extradited so he could get them papers to see what they got on him. This dude is something else. I've never seen, it's crazy. And it's crazy to think there's probably more dudes like this out there. I want to watch his confession too, Sonia. Very floss. I do. I couldn't imagine living alone as a young adult either. I got this pause, but let's go ahead and listen a little more. It's just crazy, ain't it?
19,000 leads. The video evidence that they had to develop in order to put that out, all public source information. But when you talk about the service of a high-risk warrant for someone who's committed or alleged to have committed 4 homicides, there's nothing routine about that. And all of those tactical steps that were taken were in conjunction with the best efforts of the authorities, local, state, and federal, both in Idaho and here, to ensure that we could do it safely and to ensure that we could get him into custody and that those service of the search warrants could occur.
Sir, can we ask you a question of the first assistant district attorney? Mr. Mancuso, you described having read to a degree the contents of that affidavit of probable cause, and that you possibly speculated or theorized that he wanted to get back to read that as well, since he can't read that. Can you give us an indication, though, of the seriousness of what you did read? I know you can't talk about it, but can you share with us something?
Yeah, I can't get into the details, sir, but I can say it involved the defendant's connection to a scene of a crime consisting of 4 murdered people. So that's the significance of it.
Can you confirm that there is a connection between Brian Koberger and any of the victims?
I can't discuss that.
How confident are you that he is guilty of his crimes?
That wouldn't be my place to say. Certainly confident enough that there was ample probable cause for the issuance of the various warrants in the case.
What was your reaction when you heard this? You've all talked about, you followed this. This happened states away. When you get that call, or you all get the call, that this person could be right here in your home area, what's your reaction?
Well, I was surprised, really, Monroe County of all places. It hits close to home. It's a normal human reaction, I would think, under the circumstances.
Do you know when he and his father left Idaho or Washington and drove to Pennsylvania, what that date was?
No, I don't know the exact date.
Approximately, we understand the middle of December, is that correct?
I think that's approximate.
And what about, we had heard reports that they were stopped not once but twice on the highway. Can you elaborate?
I'll defer to his Pennsylvania public defender on that.
Do you have reason to believe that Koberger is connected to other crimes and unsolved mysteries in the area?
I wouldn't answer that question at this time.
We start looking at some that may be unsolved, where he was around.
That would be a normal thing to do.
Question for the PSP here. Said he was taken without incident. Was it safe to say that, I should say it's safe to say, but did it seem like he was expecting?
I wouldn't comment on what his present sense was. I would just comment that the professionalism of the CERT team and their tactical training definitely proved in a situation like this to do it in the most tactically sound and fastest way possible.
Was there anybody else?
They done a fantastic job. I don't care what people saying right now. They can't say nothing. This is the reason they caught this dude, because they kept everything to themselves. Some of these reporters, the news reporters, and they're trying to ask questions, get on my fucking nerves. And yeah, it's a terrible press conference, but them not saying nothing is how they got this dude, y'all. They can't sit here and tell shit. You know this dude. I'm so curious about his mind. I've never seen nothing like him. Someone to study that. He had a bright future ahead of him if he had, yeah, that's a very good career, and he took it all the way, didn't he? Look, both my Sonia's here, my Tammy Ayo. People get shot, they come there, Tammy. Yeah. I'm not dogging this press conference because they're doing a fantastic job. This is one police, I don't know, I guess Idaho is the main one. I don't know, whoever. They've done a fantastic job because they really got this dude and they shocked us. They gave us something to talk about. I mean, come on. They're doing a good job. The best police force on a case I believe I've ever seen. These are amazing people. They done great. They got this motherfucker. And he's a vegan and he slaughtered 4 people. I just don't get it. Blows my fucking mind. This case does.
The intelligence we had developed, we thought that was the best time to serve it.
And what tipped off
That Pennsylvania was
Right here in your home area. What's your reaction?
Well, I was surprised.
Comment that the professionalism of the CERT team and their tactical training definitely proved.
Sorry, I had it muted, so I went back a little
to do it
bit.
in the most tactically sound and fastest way possible.
Was there anybody else in the house at the time?
His parents were in the house at the
Did
time.
they say anything to you?
Again, present sense impression. I can't comment on that ongoing investigation.
Anybody was on the door?
Force was used. The warrants were issued for evening search warrants, which in Pennsylvania requires additional probable cause in order to serve them at the hours of darkness. I would defer to the first assistant to talk about the legal burden that you bear in order to obtain those. But from a tactical standpoint, based upon all of the briefings,
I think
that
they
we've
got him
had,
at like 3
developed
o'clock
and
in the
all of
morning or
intelligence
something,
we had
didn't they?
developed,
What time
we thought
did
that
it
was the
was
best
like
time to
early in the
serve.
morning when they went and arrested him, wasn't it?
That Pennsylvania was involved with this.
They were alerted by the FBI. Troopers in the Bureau of Criminal Investigation were alerted.
Anything on like his social media pages?
Yes, Sonia, I agree.
I can't comment. I don't know.
Has parents been cooperative in this whole process?
Can't comment. Ongoing, like I said. State Police's role here was to serve the warrants and assist with the surveillance. which
Love
we've
you,
done.
Frank. Yeah, I thought it was 3
We've been
a.m.
part
That's
of
wild,
major
isn't it?
investigations. You know, these are men and women who take an oath to protect their communities and the Commonwealth here. We're very humbled with the opportunity that we had, given a case that has really gained international attention to play a small part in it. And our hat is off to Moscow PD again with the size and the complexity of this investigation and the work that they've done to get us here today. And this is only the beginning of the next step.
You know he was surprised, Tammy Ayo. You know he wasn't expecting it because they were so quiet about it.
Then you would be a part of the.
He thought he was going to get away with it.
I would say that we would pledge whatever support we can for ongoing investigations with the Idaho authorities here in Pennsylvania. Absolutely. We would help them in any way we could.
Were there any weapons found in the home?
I don't want to get into what was actually seized in the house pursuant to the evidentiary nature of it.
Can you give any
insight into why you all decided to go in overnight to make the arrest?
Those are tactical decisions in terms of base surveillance. I don't want to give out too many tactical factors that go into that situation, but obviously surveillance was conducted and we wanted to go in at a time when we thought it would be the safest for everybody, safest for anybody else in the house, safest for Mr. Koberger, and safest for our people.
There was an interesting question asked earlier about the care that needed to be taken to not tip the suspect off. Could you describe how long that lid had to be on things and how many people were involved in it? Like how many people knew and for how long?
So I would say, I would answer the question this way. I don't want to get into a timeline in terms of when we were notified by the FBI and when the surveillance began. Obviously, we know on Thursday night into Friday morning is when the warrants were served. I would say, as a credit to the professionals, both standing behind me and others not here, many others not here, the information was held very close. And we did not want to have any situation where Mr. Koberger potentially would be tipped off. So as a result of that, I would say a close number of approximately 7 to 8 individuals, maybe 10 on the most within the P.
Frank, I think they were tracking him on his way there, and I think that was on purpose to get DNA or something from him. You know what I mean? I think they stopped him in Indiana twice on purpose.
Assets were brought in, people were briefed.
When the movement plan is finally decided, will there be an announcement? Will
Not from the state police, so we would defer to Moscow and the authorities in Idaho.
when he starts leaving Pennsylvania?
Well, we have security concerns now, obviously, to move any prisoner. Anytime you move somebody from a secure prison to another place, we don't want to, there won't be an announcement from the state police in terms of those logistics, but they're being worked on right now.
Can you give us your best guess when you think he might be moved roughly? You know, tomorrow?
We would like to do it as soon as possible, but the court order says 10 days. We have 10 days to coordinate it.
Can you potentially be on a plane tonight? Is it possible he could be on a plane tonight? That's a possibility, right?
I can't, I would think that's probably not likely.
Private plane, or would you fly commercial?
We're looking into that right now.
Can you confirm or deny that a window was broken in order to gain access into the home?
There were multiple windows that were broken, I believe, to gain access, as well as multiple doors. I think the video of the house after the fact confirms that. And that would all be part of the tactical plan based on the floor plan of the house, et cetera, and what the CERT operators would do to serve those warrants.
Was the suspect on your radar before, and are you looking at any connections?
I wouldn't comment on that based on the ongoing nature.
But how about did he have a criminal past? According to the UJS, I didn't see anything.
I can't comment on a person's criminal
I agree, Fairy Floss. He thought he was going to get away with it.
Mr. Mancuso said that you stand ready to assist in giving you complete background of the defendant. What specifically is law enforcement interested in?
That'll be the last question after Mr. Mancuso answers. In any case of this nature, and I prosecuted a fair share of homicides, double homicides, that sort of thing. You want to look at any evidence of possible motive. You want to look at any evidence of a pattern of modus operandi or method. You want to get into the subject's character, mental state to the best you can, that sort of thing. So it'll be an all-encompassing effort, which we stand ready for. Okay. We have our ways. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Just for a quick.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I believe we have with us Law and Crime's own Sierra Gillespie, our correspondent on the ground in Pennsylvania. Sierra, what a day. Tell us what you saw, what you observed inside that courtroom during Bryan Koberger's extradition hearing.
Yeah, Jesse, this extradition hearing was something to be seen. I will tell you, when Bryan Koberger arrived into the courtroom, he was wearing a red jumpsuit. He had his hands cuffed, and you could have heard a pin drop. All eyes were on him, and the room was filled with media. Koberger, though, he avoided eye contact with the media and just looked at his family that was seated in the front row. For majority of the hearing, though, he was actually standing, and he seemed pretty confident. His voice didn't stutter when he spoke. He seemed relatively calm, and he answered all of the judge's questions very eloquently, as though he understood what he was saying. And again, he said that he's waiving this extradition, so he voluntarily wants to go back to Idaho.
Sierra, did he make any kind of motion towards his family that was in the courtroom?
Yeah, Jesse, I'm glad that you pointed this out. So on the way in, he kind of nodded at his family, just kind of a somber thing. I realize you're here. But on the way out is really when he showed his cards. He mouthed the words, "I love you," to his family. And then he was escorted out of the courtroom. And actually, his family had quite a reaction when they were there. They were kind of hugging each other, touching each other. Actually, one family member was crying so much that a sheriff's deputy brought over a box of Kleenexes so that she could kind of make sure to contain herself a little bit more. And she actually covered her face with her hands when the first-degree murder charges were brought up. So very emotional from Kohberger's family.
When we deal with these kinds of cases, it's families from both sides that are ultimately affected, not just the victim's family members, but clearly the defendant's family members as well. Sierra.
And see, people don't think about that. You know, I do have sympathy or whatever for his family. It is sad. If his family's not involved, which I don't think they are, I think his dad drove back from Washington with him to Pennsylvania, but I don't think his dad is guilty of the crime or anything. I think if his dad's guilty of anything, it's guilty knowledge that he's guilty of. But I don't think his dad did anything in the murders or anything. But could you imagine his dad now thinking that? And oh my God, his poor mama. I don't care. That's still a mama, you know? It's sad. He just looks creepy. And this picture of him and the nose, look at the nose, everything is just crazy. Crazy, crazy. There's no way he can get an insanity plea. No way. I mean, come on. I don't think that's even, he might try to get away with it, but I don't know. These cops are smarter than him, obviously, because if they got him, we had no clue. And it's always somebody that we don't know. It's the victim or the person that we're looking for. You know what I mean? They said that this whole time on this. You just got to wait and let it play out. And they done really good on this. He does look like a psycho, Tammy. I agree. He does. And how much he looks like Bundy. I think this is kind of like a copycat. I think he's took a few different murderers like Bundy, BTK, or whoever, maybe Night Stalker, and kind of combined it and done his own kind of murder. You know what I mean? Like he done his own thing, just like the other murders, the serial killers did. But he's not I wouldn't consider him a serial killer. Am I talking tactical, Panthera? I don't know what that means. I'm ready to get into this dude's mind, though. That's what I get into cases like I'm a Charles Manson fan. People judge me because I like Charles Manson. But if you actually take the time to study his mind, he had a beautiful, brilliant mind. The way he spoke about the earth. Yeah. Yeah, I seen that fairy floss too. Because he's a vegan and he does look like Bundy. Look, there's the picture of him. And that's Bundy and him. And here, this one's for you, Frank. Yeah, the psychology, it's Tamiyo. I wonder if he's done it before. I mean, I don't think any murder scene or whatever is a good thing, but he done a pretty good job in this. I don't know. I want to see the crime scene. I want to see their beds. I want to see if they ran. I want to see if they fought. I want to see inside that house. I wonder if he's done it before. I don't know. Let's listen to some more of this news people.
Great reporting on the ground for us. We really do appreciate it. You're our eyes and ears there. We didn't have cameras in that courtroom, so thank you so much, Sierra. Great reporting.
Yeah, thanks as always.
All right, everybody. So we are thank you for joining us here on the covering of the extradition hearing of Bryan Kohberger. We will continue to follow this case as it ultimately progresses. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Law and Crime Network. We'll be back next time.
Until the 13th, the end of next week. But I'd be really surprised.
See what OJB's saying over here.
Ready to put this in the rearview mirror. They want to get this coordinated. They want to do it as quickly as possible. If they're looking at flight options, they want to look. It's going to be over in a matter of hours. A flight from Pennsylvania to Idaho. I mean, that would probably. It depends on whether or not they go commercial or whether they fly private. If it's commercial, I don't know if there's many direct flights from Eastern PA directly to Moscow, Idaho. However, yeah, if it's done commercially, it's probably the entirety of a day. If they arrange for direct transportation privately, that will be done in a matter of hours. The flight from Pennsylvania, Idaho is probably no more than 5 hours long. So it could be a relatively quick process, but they just have to figure out the logistics of getting him from one place to the other. But yeah, I'll admit, I would be very surprised if this wasn't done by the end of the week. Sister Moon, that's a very kind comment. I just want to say thank you. I see that. Thank you very much. Okay, so okay. Everyone's telling me to go check out Brian Enton's Twitter. Oh, wow. Just now got the body cam video from the traffic stop involving Kohberger and his dad while they were driving through Indiana. Gonna play it back at 5 o'clock on News Nation. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So the body camera video from the traffic stop in Indiana, again, Jason Labar, the chief public defender from Monroe County, saying that Kohberger and his dad, they got pulled over twice in Indiana on the way back in mid-December from Idaho into PA. So now there was first Indiana State Police saying we have no record of it, which doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means that that an officer or a deputy or a trooper pulled over somebody and just didn't make a record of it, because how often does it happen where somebody gets pulled over and they're they're let off with a warning? That happens thousands of times a day. So very interesting that just like that, the body camera video is about to be released. As soon as we have it, we'll play it back. In fact, I'm just going to look right now. I might have access to it. Brian Enton and I, so Brian works at News Nation. I'm here at WFLA. We're under the same parent company. So Brian and I are very much allies when it comes to the news world that we live in. We work together because we work for the same company. And so we have access to the same assets. But looking here, it has not been uploaded to this, or is it? Or is this it? Oh, I think this is it. Give me a second, folks. I'm looking at this. Oh yeah. All right. Interesting. Stand by, folks. I'm gonna show you a little bit of this. Wow. Folks, it would appear the video here has crashed my system. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're gonna watch this. It's also from Law and Crime Network. Oh, what Panthers? What rabbit hole? I love y'all. Hey, Roger. Oh, I hope so too, Roger. Like, give him some fucking baloney, slap it on that tree right in front of kill them babies. They're babies to me. I can't fucking get to. Hold on. I'm gonna see what Jay's doing over here. I know Jay. Jay gets some good stuff. Okay, we're gonna watch the body cam footage. It looks like maybe. Okay, we're gonna hop over here. I didn't even know Jay was live. Sub up to Jay, y'all.
You want to look at any evidence of a okay, thank you.
Wow. We're going to roll right into this.
Just for a quick spelling, I'll give everyone the spelling of everyone's name. It was included in the media advisory.
Look, you guys. Holy traffic stop. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm still shooketh over this being they're investigating more crimes. But let's watch him and his dad get pulled over. Oh my God, my heart is pounding.
I know. Who wants to take this license registration? When I talk to you, you're driving by me there, you're looking back at semi. You the back of the screen.
That car is disgusting.
What you guys in? You guys stop by a trooper? We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV? Okay, all right. You thought you guys following too closely? Okay. Say? Well, I'm not going to give you guys another ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay? So like I said, it's all about how fast you're going, okay? So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you only need one car. Or if you're going, so the speed limit here is 7. If you're going 7 miles an hour, you need 7 car miles. Yeah. That's the easy way to explain this. Yeah. It's really, it's in the B&B man, it says 2 to 3 seconds. All right, you guys have a safe trip. Where y'all headed? Thank you so much for this time. Where y'all headed to? Where at? Yeah, it's a long haul. You guys scared of airplanes? Did you? Okay. All right, well, hey, peace out, safe trip. Thanks.
He said he's scared of airplanes.
We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV? Okay, all right. You thought you guys following too closely? Okay. Today? I'm not going to give you guys a ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay? So like I said, it's all about how fast you're going, okay? So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you only need one car. If you're going, so speed limit here is 7. If you're going 7 miles an hour, you need 7 car miles. Yeah. That's the easy way to explain this. Yeah. It's really, it's in the B&B man, it says 2 to 3 seconds. All right, you guys have a safe trip. Where y'all headed? Thank you so much for this time. Where y'all headed to? Where at? Yeah, it's a long haul. You guys scared of airplanes?
The cop says, "Oh, that's a long haul. Are you scared of airplanes?" Okay, let's go back to their faces. Lord have mercy. So his dad has the GPS on, and they're just cruising. Nothing to see here. No, this was when they were looking for that car. So he figured, I better get this car out of the state of Idaho, quick like. He didn't expect that they would already have known who he was. Oneida? Well, that's the laws in Pennsylvania. So he's extradited back to Idaho. It will be done there in Idaho. Do I know what state this was in? Let me see if TMZ tells us. Indiana. Indiana. They pulled him over. The car was followed. They said it was following too closely. Police officials say at the time of the stop, they knew nothing related to the license plate or state in which the car was registered. However, more than a week before, cops asked the public's help in finding a white Hyundai Elantra, the car in which Kohberger was driving. Now, don't you think that the FBI being involved, that every FBI department would have gotten a bulletin to check for this car? Look at his face. It's burnt. What is that on his wrist? Let me get out my handy dandy annotator. I knew today was going to be full of stuff. Even though we're not getting the affidavit, I knew we were going to get stuff. Hold on a second. Annotate and draw. Okay. So what I'm looking at, and I don't know. Yeah, well, his left hand is on his knee, like out of sight. But I'm looking right here. You guys see that? What is that? Right, but with a very, very sharp hunting knife, a month later, you're still going to have wounds. And then it also looks very swollen here to me. This dude's a cooked goose. But this isn't his first time. This is not his first time. And you know, now that I'm looking at it, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Did I ask you to do that? No, I didn't. Yeah, I think there's all kinds of little marks on his hands, if you want to know my opinion. But hold on. Why are his dad's teeth like that? Ugh. Gross. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's just some things you don't want to see. Oh, his face here, I mean, is just priceless. I can't wait for Steve Goncalves to be right in front of him. I can't wait. Okay, so let's get rid of these. I think that.
Okay, now I'm going to watch this here. It says slain student's family lawyer addresses Brian Kohberger arrest. So I say the lawyer, Kaylee's family, that lawyer dude.
Shannon, first of all, just your general reaction to what happened last Friday with the arrest.
Well, I think everybody was relieved. The family was relieved, and you know, it's long from over. The next, you know, that chapter's kind of closed at least, and then now the next chapter starts. You know, the whole criminal justice process, and so I think everyone had a little bit of relief and was able maybe to sleep at night, and then now it's back to the grind again. So,
did you have any inkling that something was coming?
No, we had no idea. They hadn't released any information, had no heads up about anything. I think I received a call on, it was about 10:30, I think, on Thursday night, and from the Moscow Police Department, letting me know that they were in the process of taking someone into custody. They didn't release the name or any of that information to us that night. I immediately called the family and spoke with them. They were obviously, you know, happy and relieved to a certain degree. And then I got more information, more details about who the defendant was in the case the next morning. So.
I know you're limited in what you can release at this time. Has law enforcement briefed you and the Gonsalves family on what is going to be discussed in the probable cause affidavit?
No. I mean, they don't need to. I mean, they haven't reached out to us to set up a meeting or anything. You know, I'm obviously a criminal defense attorney myself and a former prosecutor, so I've explained to them how the process goes and what the hearings might entail and how that's going to be playing out and how we'll just kind of take it day by day. You know, everyone thinks that I think that he's going to get back here and he's going to automatically be arraigned on the case, and that's just not what's going to happen. His first appearance will probably be getting an attorney. So get either a court-appointed attorney, or if someone, you know, if the family hires an attorney, a privately retained attorney, and then that attorney's going to want a couple of days to talk with his client, and then they'll have the preliminary hearing. regarding the probable cause for the arrest. And then obviously the Latah County will have to get a grand jury. That's for the indictment, and he can be arraigned on an information prior to the indictment and be held on that. And then, so I mean, there's a lot of moving process, things that are going on that aren't going to happen immediately on the case. So.
But as far as whatever's in that affidavit, I would assume the family would want to know before the public.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'd like to see it. They're not going to release it to us. I mean, I've asked for it right now, and they've not released it to us. They're stating Idaho state law that they can't release it until after the arraignment, and so we're honoring that. So, but you know, I'm just as anxious, and the family is just as anxious to see the probable cause affidavit as everyone else is. You know, hopefully it's a good probable cause affidavit. It's not going to detail everything that's in part of the investigation, but it will give a good basis about what possible evidence they have that connects the defendant in this case to the crime. So, and then, you know, maybe, you know, they can ask, I mean, I think that the real thing is that, you know, the community being involved and knowing and offering up additional details about any connections or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I would just hope they would get that information before it's released publicly. I understand state law and everything. I saw Steve, you and Steve, I think on an ABC News interview where Steve alluded to the fact that he and the family do not know this Bryan Kohberger, but they were seeing connections or possible connections.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I mean, basically that the interview, it maybe wasn't basically set out the way it should have been, but it was, now that we have a name and we have a person, all the families are going to be looking for connections between all of the victims. So, and if we find any connections between Kaylee or Maddie or Ethan or Xana or any of those, the victims in the case, we'll be relaying all of that information over to the Moscow Police Department. And we're going to allow the Moscow Police Department to determine if they release any information regarding those connections. And I think the Moscow Police Department is really asking from the public, now that there's a face and a name, that get as much information as you can to us about this guy, right? About his habits, things that he was doing, all that stuff, still asking for community help.
So at this point in time, Steve and Christy Gonsalves and the rest of the family haven't seen it. They don't know that Kaylee knew this guy or any of the other girls or victims.
I have any information that they knew this guy. I mean, I don't think he wasn't on any of the family's radar. I don't believe. So.
Yeah, I don't think he was on anyone but law enforcement's radar. I mean, I think it was a shock to everyone. Wow. So I saw Steve just a short time ago. I think I saw both of you on CNN on the plane. So Steve obviously still, I mean, they're grieving. They're in a lot of pain. You can tell. How do you think he's doing and the family?
Well, I mean, things have changed in some aspect of it, is that they have a person that they've arrested, but the loss of their daughter hasn't changed. The loss of the thing she was murdered and all of those things, that hasn't changed at all. And now you have to have hope. You know, you had hope that they would get an arrest. Now you have to have hope that they're going to get a conviction, that they've done all the things that they needed to do, that they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. And they have evidence that will come in, and we'll get a good hard evidence on this individual. And, any additional evidence that they can, circumstantial evidence that they can find that will add to the weight of the direct evidence and the hard evidence on the case. I mean, so they're hopeful that will happen. But it's still a long journey. I mean, we're nowhere near the end. So.
Sure, most certainly. Have you been given any indication as to when they may bring him back, whether they bring him back possibly late tomorrow night or Wednesday or something to that effect?
They haven't given us any information. I've emailed them about that information, if they could give me some specifics as far as timelines, things like that. And I haven't received any response about specific timelines on just that they don't have any information. I would suppose that if he waives extradition tomorrow, I think the hearing's supposed to be earlier than the 3:30. I think it's supposed to be an 11:30 hearing. And so I would assume that they might have someone out there that might be able to get custody of him immediately after the hearing. And then I would assume that they're going to be flying him back. I can't imagine that someone would be driving. So flying him back, and he could arrive in Idaho within 8 to 10 hours, probably that range. And then the next day possibly make a court appearance to get an attorney on the case, and then it kind of starts the process. And that attorney may ask for some time about some different things and for a timeline. So we'll have a better idea once he's back here, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
But you believe the hearing has been moved from 3:30 Eastern to 11:30 Eastern?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So
really, okay.
I can't confirm that though. So
okay.
That's what I've heard.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. And I know that. Just tell me the family, if you would, the family, Steve and Christy Gonsalves, and obviously the rest of the family's plans for when this suspect appears in court, the defendant. I'm assuming they will want to be present for that and would likely try to be present for as many of these hearings as they could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be involved as they possibly can in this. They still have jobs, right? They still have things they have to do to make a living, and I'll be there as much as I can, and the family will be there as much as they can, Sometimes it'll probably be Steve and Christy. Sometimes it might be Steve or just Christy, or maybe just me or other family members that might have some availability to come down. But I'm pretty sure there will be a representative of the family at every proceeding moving forward. So,
do you feel like things have improved as far as the communication goes with the Moscow police and the family?
Well, I mean, I don't know if anything's really, that's not really what we're focused on right now. I mean, what we're focused on now is moving forward and hoping that they have done a proper investigation for a conviction. And so that's the key. Obviously, giving us a phone call immediately when the person was being taken into custody was the right thing to do. And so we're hoping that we'll continue to get more information ahead of time moving forward. That's our hope. So,
is there anything else you'd like to add?
It's a long journey here. We've got a lot of stuff moving forward, and I would just encourage anybody that's out there that's to continue with the leads and the tips to the Moscow Police Department to help them gather, additional circumstantial evidence that might be able to help in the investigation and those types of things. And because I feel like it was the community that helped solve this crime. It was a community involvement. I mean, it was, the guy was from Pullman, right? He was nine miles away and just over the border. And so, I don't know the details of it, but I'd be fairly certain and confident that it was the community that helped solve this crime and helped with the leads and the tips in the investigation.
Right now, the Idaho College murders. The criminology graduate student accused of stabbing 4 students to death is due in a Pennsylvania courtroom today for an extradition hearing. We're going to speak with the father of one of the victims after this report from Kana Whitworth in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Kana.
George, good morning. So within Shannon, first of all,
Go off the state police, got your license and registration. I stopped you when you were driving by me there. You were looking close to back that semi. Got one car in the back of this trailer. We're about one car going 10 miles an hour. So we're going 60 or 70 miles an hour. We're about 6 or 7 cars. Oh, you guys did? Yeah. So. You guys stopped by a tripper? We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV? Okay. All right. You thought you guys were following too closely? Okay. Today? Well, I'm not going to give you guys another ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay? So like I said, it's all about how fast you're going, okay? So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you only need one car lane. Or if you're going, so the speed limit here is 7. If you're going 7 miles an hour, you need 7 car lanes. Yeah. That's the easy way to explain it. Yeah. It's really easy if you're in the B&B man, it says 2 to 3 seconds. All right, you guys have a safe trip. Where y'all heading? Thank you so much for where y'all heading to? Where at? Yeah, it's a long haul. You guys scared of airplanes? Okay. All right, well, hey, peace out, safe trip. Thank you, sir.
That's crazy. What do y'all think about this? I'm going to mute it there, but we'll still watch it. Crazy. That car is gross, dirty, disgusting. Look at it, how dirty it is. This is crazy. That's a motherfucker that killed them girls and babies and a boy. That's fucking sad, man. They were onto that Elantra, wasn't they? The cops, they were fucking on it, man. Kudos. I'm with you, Roger. I'm right there with you. Man, this car, it's them cops in Idaho. They were fucking on it. No, I haven't seen that fairy floss. I don't even know who that is. But kudos. Yeah. These cops in Idaho, they got that shit done. That's crazy. Sub up to Law and Crime Network, amazing channel. Yeah, I'm so curious, Tammy. Me too. More information. That car. I think they stopped him in Indiana twice on purpose. I think they was tracking him somehow. Maybe they put an air tag on his car. Never know. The air tags are fucking people putting them on people's cars and shit. Oh, I hope these cops fucking just knock this motherfucker down. Just, I hope they stay on it with him. He's a monster. It's crazy. These people walk amongst us too. You never know. You never fucking know. This guy looks creepy. But you know what I've noticed too? Like, people don't say that people look creepy because they don't look creepy until after they do something creepy. Does that make sense? Like, before this, he probably looked normal to people. But I think they said he acted creepy. So, like Chris Watts. I mean, there's some, they don't look creepy until after they do something creepy. It's weird. Let's go back here.
Joseph and I will answer all of your questions. Joseph, I'm starting with you on this. I'm wondering, what do you think the police have? And I know this is speculation. There's been some reporting out there that there was DNA evidence in this case that led authorities to Bryan Kohberger to identify him as a suspect. What do you think it was that possibly led to a DNA profile in this case?
Well, if what is being reported is accurate, my estimation it's going to be a combination of things. First off, they would have found certainly a copious amount of blood at the scene. The question is, was it commingled with the perpetrator or alleged perpetrator's blood or any other kind of body fluids that might have been left around? You got to keep in mind, blood is not the only source for DNA-rich evidence. Another piece to this is going to be anything that was found on the bodies. And, we go back to the hands being bagged, which is common practice in my field to retain any kind of trace evidence. If there was anything contained beneath the fingernails, and we have to keep in mind, that's not simply skin. You can also find blood from a perpetrator beneath the fingernails as they're being raked away. And I think finally, whatever kind of tiebacks there might be in that vehicle, I think the vehicle is huge, because if he had allegedly been in that house and had committed these crimes, and I think admittedly he would have been super saturated in blood, that evidence would have transferred into the car somehow, and not just the blood, but any kind of other trace evidence he's taken away. So this is an evidence-rich environment, and it will have been inoculated with everybody's DNA that was at the scene.
Bobby, we are moving forward in this entire process. The extradition hearing is scheduled for 3:30 Eastern.
Hey, sis, Cher, I love you. I hope you feel better.
Back here to Idaho. The question is, how are they going to get him back here, and how quickly will that happen? What do you see happening?
Well, that's a tough question because logistically there are a lot of moving parts in this, and each case is handled a little differently. So the only issue in Pennsylvania is he the Bryan Kohberger that's named in the Idaho arrest warrant? That's the only issue. This is not an evidence thing. This is not a guilt thing. It's only the only argument is he the same Bryan? Is he the same person that's named? If he is, he has to go back. So that's why they often waive extradition, because it's only an identity hearing. It's only, are you the same person that's named in the warrant? And almost always they are, right? And so he knows even if he has an extradition hearing, he'll lose and be removed. But he'll waive extradition. They'll have that hearing. There'll be an order to remove him from the jurisdiction of Pennsylvania, and then the detectives will either get him on a bus or get him on a plane
plane and fly him back to Idaho. Whereas you heard the family attorney say he'll have an initial appearance where he'll get an attorney assigned to him, either a public defender or a privately retained counsel, and then that counsel will ask the judge for a few days so he can review the charging instrument that they charged him with. Now there are 3 charging instruments: an information, a complaint, and indictment. And so far he's probably been charged under a complaint or information, because to get an indictment you have to see the grand jury. That grand jury has to spend time getting evidence presented to it and then vote on an indictment. So I think that will come later on. But initially I think they'll put him on a plane, they'll transport him to Idaho. He'll have that initial hearing, hopefully, maybe later this week, where he'll get his attorney attached, and then the attorney will request some days to review some of the material.
And I should mention too that Bobby Chacon is also an attorney, so he can talk with us about the legal aspects of this too, what we will see moving forward. We are taking your questions, as I mentioned earlier. Submit them to us on Twitter, Twitch, in our YouTube chat, Facebook. We will get to them as soon as we can. Our first question from Twitter comes from @JusticeBrant. Would be interested to know when the flight ticket was bought for the dad to go to Idaho, before the murder or at the last minute. I'm going to take this question, and then Bobby, I'll ask you about this as well. I had spoken with Jason LaBar, Bryan Kohberger's attorney, on Sunday, and he told me that Bryan Kohberger's father flew from Pennsylvania to Washington to then drive the white Hyundai Elantra back to Pennsylvania. This was a trip, he said, that was planned before the school year started, so they would drive back together for Christmas. So we don't know when that plane ticket was actually purchased, but we do know that it was planned in advance, according to Jason LaBar, the public defender representing Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania. But Bobby, I'm going to ask you this. Does when dad purchased that plane ticket matter at all? The parents have said in a statement that they are cooperating with law enforcement and that they're shocked by this.
It wouldn't matter.
Hey, wifey.
Investigating this homicide, the dad is an ancillary character in this. Some people might think he might be an accessory, but that's not germane to me. If I'm looking to convict someone on these 4 homicides, I'm looking at a person now. I have to focus all my efforts to make sure we can obtain a conviction in court. And so I have to make sure all of that evidence is ripe and proper, and all the white noise of prior bad acts by the defendant or other people that might have helped him. Other teams can start looking at that, but there has to be a focus now, because charges have been lodged in murder, and so we want to get a conviction of this guy in murder. If somebody helped him, if the dad was involved, that can sometimes come later. Those are charges that would probably be tried separately anyway, if in fact they do get charged. But right now, the focus of the investigators has to be on this crime scene, these victims, and this suspect, this defendant now in trial.
And that's most certainly what the focus does need to be. And everything we've heard is that the parents, as I said, were shocked by this arrest. We're going to go on to a question now from Agurst Kitty. And Bobby, I probably should throw this one to you, but I'm interested in what Joseph has to say about it as well. Any chance he decides to represent himself like a Daryl Brooks situation? Of course, we know, Bobby, that this is a criminology PhD student studying criminal justice. Into the criminal mind, he knows how the system works. Do you foresee that at all, that this Bryan Kohberger would try to represent himself?
Well, I mean, look, it's very rare that happens. And yes, we did have the Brooks case this year in which that did happen, or last year now, in which that did happen. And it's fascinating for us always to get that insight, because we very rarely ever hear from a defendant in a murder case. They very rarely take a stand, and they very rarely represent themselves. Now, that being said, if this guy is such a narcissist that he wants to use this platform to get his voice out there and to get all the attention, then he might choose to do that. Everybody has the right to defend themselves. They have a right to stand up before the court themselves and defend themselves. It's not very advisable, particularly if you're not
I wish so they wouldn't put narcissist on a label on him, because we don't know that yet, because we don't really even know anything about the dude. So I don't like that they're already labeling him a narcissist. Just because he's a murderer and psycho and all that does not mean he's a narcissist. All fucking they're not all narcissists. We don't know nothing about this dude.
Criminal defendant does, and we just saw just in the last
In
30
my
seconds or
opinion.
so, there was video that we have from News Nation where they caught Bryan Kohberger being led into the Monroe County courthouse for that extradition hearing hours ahead of time. Of course, there are security concerns here, so I don't find it unusual that they brought him in so early for that hearing. Joseph, I want to talk to you about just the personality of this guy. I know you're a forensic death investigator. You're looking at clues at the scene, but we've heard some rumors that this was a sloppy scene. We don't know that for certain, but what do you see from this guy? He's a criminology student, a criminal justice major. We know about that survey that was online on Reddit where he was seeking information for research. What are you thinking about Bryan Kohberger as a defendant, what we know about him so far?
Well, I think going back to the earlier comment, the previous question, I think that there's a tie back here. There are people that are out there that are conflating the study of criminology with the study.
Right, Allie. I don't know. I'm not sensing narcissism from him yet. You know what I mean? And I got a pretty good narc detector, and I'm not sensing it with him yet. I'm curious to see what he is, though. You know what I mean? Like, we know he's a fucking killer, and I don't know. I want to know his mind.
Out knowledge in an academic setting, okay? But an academic setting is not an applied setting, all right? So he can go and he can sit and learn at DeSales with my friend Catherine Ramsland. He can sit in her classroom and he can learn from her, certainly, I would imagine. But that doesn't make him a behaviorist. He's just sitting there learning. And how he applies that knowledge is anybody's guess. To my buddy Bobby's comment about being a narcissist, roll the dice, see how it works out for you, because it's not going to work out well for you if you try to represent yourself in this case. And just like I don't think it's worked out well for him if he attempted to make any alterations at that scene or pick up after himself, they're always going to miss something.
Most definitely. They say you leave something everywhere you go. And I think it would be very difficult to enter a scene, to enter any place like that, take part in possibly, something this violent and not leave something behind. We're going to take one last chat anywhere. And
I do recommend this channel, Law and Crime Network. I watch a lot of their stuff. We've already seen all this stuff, I think. We've already seen the lawyer. See what they say about the search.
I will throw this one to you, Joseph. Have they found the knife, and how important is it that they find the murder weapon in this case? This comes from Diane Zantana on YouTube.
Hey, Diana. No, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't. I think the thing I've been curious about all along, because they were very specific with their descriptors about the weapon, the alleged weapon that was used in this case, and they've used terms to describe it as military style, hunting style. There was even Rambo floating around. K-Bar is a specific brand, but those fit a specific weapon profile. The term large knife has been used as well. My question, I don't think they have the weapon. However, how did they arrive at that conclusion? There's been a lot of stuff floating around the internet relative to the news media going in to interview shop owners saying, was this type of knife purchased there? I don't know that anybody's been able to confirm that necessarily. So that brings us back to more of a fact-based crime scene investigation. Was most of these knives have a sheath? Was it dropped at the scene? And I think that's a very basic question. It certainly needs to be asked. We'll find out if that is the case, but that would certainly be a tie back. I think the weapon is going to be important as far as connectivity to the alleged perpetrator and these injuries. The injuries will have been very well documented. I could do a deep dive on the injuries alone, maybe another time. But again, I go back to this vehicle. The vehicle is going to be very important as well because it's a conveyance. It's a conveyance relative to these events, perhaps. We don't know all of the details yet, but we do know that he drove around in that vehicle, and they were looking for a similar vehicle that night. So I think that's a big piece to this.
The Idaho murders case, we're getting our very first look. This is Bryan Kohberger, the accused killer of 4 college students, as he made his way into a Pennsylvania courtroom. He waived his extradition hearing. He will be on his way back to Idaho sometime over the course of the next several days, but it could be as soon as tonight. And we could learn even more about what happened inside that house in Moscow. Kohberger was, of course, arrested on Friday. News Nation has learned he was a PhD student at a nearby university studying criminology. Let's bring in now senior national correspondent Brian Entin. Brian, you are there in Pennsylvania with some brand new video.
Yeah, we are, Nicole. We're going to talk about the extradition that's about to happen with Bryan Kohberger in a second. But first, we want to get to some video that News Nation has just obtained within the last 5 minutes or so. If you've been following the story, we got information that Kohberger, when he was driving to Pennsylvania here from Washington State, that he drove through Indiana with his dad and that he was pulled over by the police. Well, take a look at this. We just got this body camera video into News Nation of that traffic stop. You can see Bryan Kohberger's dad right there in the passenger seat, and that is Bryan Kohberger driving the white Hyundai Elantra through Indiana on his way back here to Pennsylvania. It's interesting. We slowed down the video. It's hard to hear what's being said because it's so loud with those cars going by in the background. But we know that he was pulled over for speeding. The cop at one point sort of made a joke saying, gosh, you don't fly? I mean, this is such a long drive from Idaho, from Washington State to Pennsylvania. And then something else interesting, Nicole, Bryan Kohberger spoke about being stopped again in Indiana by an SUV. And the police officer sort of makes reference, oh, we don't have SUVs. This could all become very, very important if we find out that Kohberger was actually being tracked during this drive from Washington State back here to Pennsylvania. We're going to be looking into this video very, very closely. Again, we just got it. Okay, let's move on to what happened in court within the last couple of hours here in Pennsylvania. Kohberger in court for the first time here. He officially waived his extradition hearing. We saw him go into the courthouse. It was our first time seeing him. It was a somewhat routine hearing inside. The judge read him his rights, made sure that this is really what he wanted to do, that he wanted to waive his extradition hearing and get right back to Idaho. And he said yes. He was pretty much stone cold throughout the hearing. When he walked into the courtroom, he glanced over at his family. His parents were there along with his 2 sisters sitting right in the front row, right in front of us where we were sitting, the media. He looked at his parents and his mom started crying. His sister started crying. It was a very emotional moment for the family. And a deputy actually brought them tissues. When will the extradition happen? That is the big question. We thought perhaps he would go right to Idaho from the courthouse. That didn't happen. He was taken back to the jail here in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, where he is right now. But we're told the extradition will be happening soon, likely within the next couple of days. Listen to what the district attorney just said here in Pennsylvania.
Does not release
their probable cause affidavit in support of their arrest warrant until after their defendant is returned to that state. But having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents. So that's a significant development.
Very interesting what the DEA said there. Let me explain it to you, Nicole. Basically, the probable cause affidavit that has all of the information about why Kohberger was arrested, all the evidence that police have, that cannot be released until he is back on the ground in Idaho. Even Kohberger and his attorneys cannot see that document. So they don't even know right now the basic evidence that law enforcement has against Kohberger. So what the DA was saying is essentially he thinks Kohberger wants to get back to Idaho as soon as possible. So his legal team has access to those documents. Nicole?
All right, wow, Brian entering with so much new information this afternoon. Thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage. Well, as we do wait for Kohberger to land in Idaho, his lawyer says the 28-year-old is eager to be exonerated. It should not be tried in court, not be tried in the court of public opinion. We are also waiting for a key document, that sealed probable cause affidavit, because it could have crucial information linking Kohberger to the 4 murders. Correspondent Nancy Liu joins us live now from Moscow, Idaho, with more on the next steps in this case, Nancy.
And Nicole, when Kohberger is transported, he's expected to be brought here to the Latah County Jail, which is in the basement of the county courthouse building, and it is less than 2 miles away from where he allegedly killed 4 students on November 13th. According to the Latah County Sheriff's Department.
I'm here. I'm just trying to listen to this stuff, y'all. 1 second. Hold on. I'll post the chat StreamYard link. Hold on 1 second.
And the small rec yard are constantly monitored, and inmates are allowed an hour a day in either or a combination of both. Soon after authorities announced Kohberger's arrest and the murders of Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, County Prosecutor Bill Thompson addressed the next steps.
Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure counsel is competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings.
Should Kohberger be brought back through the Pullman Moscow Regional Airport, it's just a 10-minute drive to the jail. News Nation saw a food delivery this morning at the facility, and a few items would work with Kohberger's vegan diet. Search warrants executed after the Friday arrest resulted in a lot of new evidence from Kohberger's apartment. Authorities also searched his office on the Wazoo campus, the Kohberger home in Pennsylvania, and the white Elantra driven cross-country. In building their case, law enforcement continues to seek tips about Kohberger, urging people to call or email Moscow police.
Come forward. Call the tip line. Report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why.
And as we heard from Brian, the probable cause affidavit, it won't be unsealed until Kohberger arrives back in Idaho. We heard in court in Pennsylvania that his Idaho public defender is Ann Taylor. She's actually based up in Coeur d'Alene in Kootenai County. So we are waiting details on where exactly he'll be arriving. But the charges he faces are here in Latah County, 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find news.
Okay. There's that. Oh no, this is just interesting to me. And I gotta really listen whenever I'm doing this stuff, or I can't do chat and listen at the same time. Sorry. Yeah, his curiosity, that's why he wants that sealed affidavit, Sonia. Very false. I believe. Wouldn't you think? Is that what's in that? The affidavit, isn't that what they would have to arrest him? Or at what part does how they died or all that information come out? What part does all that come out? The gory stuff, the bloody stuff. When's all that stuff come out? What happened and who was where and who was beheaded or whatever in the hell. They said all kinds of things about them poor babies. Yeah. Right, Tamia, yo. No, I didn't growl. You don't want to know details, Tammy? Some people don't. I do, though. You know, I'm that person. I do. And I totally get that people don't. Frank, I need a picture like yours for my picture. Thumb with a hat on. Will you make me one? Yes, Allie. Same. Same, sis. Same. I want to know. I want to see it. I got to see it. Do we ever get to see that? Like, do we ever... Are we ever entitled to that information? Roger, you agree with us? You don't want to know the details? I wonder about Kaylee. What if it's a Maddie? What if it's Jenna? We don't know. But yeah, I say it's right. It's probably the girls that was upstairs. Yep, Frank, me too. I don't even know what Vegemite is. Very floss. Hey, do you see what your name is up here? Do you want to change it? Or do you want to go on panel like that? Can you hear me, Amber? I don't think she can hear me. Hey, Twerk's mom. She's gone. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Very floss. Is it meat? Toast? No, you said toast. Where'd you go? Come back up. Oh my God, leather and lace. Oh my God, hello. Oh my God. It's so good to see you. How are you? Oh my God. This is an aha moment. Like, leather and lace is one of Cher's like OG viewers, subscribers and stuff with me. She was before me, I believe, with Cher. Leather and lace has been around a while. I love you. I hope you're good. How exciting. I love seeing people like this that I ain't seen in a while and that I love and care about and know. You're on stream.
Okay. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, your name.
I can't even deal with it. So the affidavit, like what that is just pretty simple. It says why they arrested him, what they have on him. It's not going to give all the gory details because
Where
a
can
lot
I
of
get the
that's
gory
not it.
details? Where can I get them? I want the gore. You know me,
So many
Amber.
problems. Like, oh my God. So anyway, it says why they had enough to arrest him. I'm going to try to.
So it's really not going to be much, the
It's
affidavit.
not that exciting. So what it's going to say is that they used, I don't know if I can like switch screens. Let me see if I can switch screens in here.
Oh, Tammy, yeah, yo. Hey, Tammy, you know leather and lace too, don't you? Because you've been around a while too.
Can you
That
hear
was
me?
so exciting. Yeah. Hold
So
on.
you
That was
couldn't
so
hear me
exciting.
talking before.
Leather and lace. Sorry, I was talking to Tammy. She said I
Okay,
never
I
sounded
didn't
so
know.
sleepy. Go ahead. I'm gonna shut up.
Well, I didn't know if you could hear me when I switched screens where my notes were. That's why.
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So all right. So they put the genealogy through GEDMAX, GEDMAX, I think. It just shows the family trees, and then they compare the mitochondria DNA and see if it's going to be on the father's side, the mother's side, etc. So they'll say, okay, we have the Jane Doe family tree. It's a male, and they'll know just, within a few distant relatives, the family. They shoot that back to the investigators, and they start looking at that area. So they're like, okay, Pennsylvania, across the country. Oh, look, we have this person who just happened to be in Washington State.
And they
So
drive a
that's
white
how
launch
that works.
rod.
Well, so that's just how they got Brian through that system, GEDMAS. So that is meaning that he left DNA there. What matters in this case is where. So was it found underneath nails? Because that's going to be difficult.
See, this is what I want to know. This is the part I want to know. Go ahead.
I know. So from my understanding, there's so many rumors with this that's where I think it's getting convoluted. All this, like, he washed his hands in the sink and blah, blah, blah.
I don't believe that. I don't believe he washed his
Brian
hands in the
is
sink.
not stupid.
He would not do that.
People saying his nose was broken. His nose has been broken. He was a boxer and a little shit, so he's had that nose. He went to school the next day or the day after. No cuts on the hands, no broken nose, no nothing.
And somebody would have seen that if that was
They
the
would have
case.
seen that. So,
right.
How this, to me, it doesn't matter, because there were probably 10 to 15 people who contaminated that crime scene. Because EMS arrived, so you had all the little people who came over in the morning. They had
friends.
several with friends going in and out, in and out. Then you had the EMS arrive with no protective footwear, nothing. They will be called.
They had
to
no
the
clue
stand.
what was going on.
Correct. So you had.
They wasn't
them come
prepared
in.
for that.
So you had 10 to 15 people plus at least 5 hours plus. So what the defense attorney will say, and I know they will because they already have said it, when they said, hey, stop, don't you dare go in there. They can't get anything off the cars. The cars were left there unattended, give or take, for 5 days. Anything at the crime scene and the peripheral, like outside, that was where they really messed up. In a crime scene, you start from the outside and you go in. They went back the next day. So any DNA that they do find, a cigarette butt, which I doubt he smokes, I'm just saying how it works typically, none of that can be used in court. It will be thrown out. The defense attorney will get that thrown out.
And really,
So
that kind
why-
of house is like the perfect place to murder people. You know what I mean? Because of
Correct.
the
So Brian
multiple
can
DNA.
say, yes, Brian can say, I go to school with Xana's sister. That's true. I don't know why people are saying anything else. The only connection we know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Santa's sister goes to school with Brian.
Correct.
Wow.
Now, it's a huge school. Doesn't matter.
But still,
Like,
but still.
that's
but
the only
still,
connection.
that's-
There's
but
no
still-
connection to Kaylee. I don't even believe Kaylee was the target. I just
I think
don't, and I
Kaylee
don't
was
care.
wrong place at the wrong time.
Like, yes, if you Google the what is it, the vegan restaurants, yes, the first restaurant that comes up is the Mad Creek. Yes, he probably ran into them there.
See,
like,
it's all.
That's it. But there's nothing to prove that. I've heard his cell
I think the
phone
target
pings.
was Maddie. I think the
I do
target
as
was
well.
Maddie.
I do as well. But again,
I
the
have,
only
in
thing
my
that
opinion,
anybody
I have
can
no
prove-
proof of that. Yeah, we don't have no proof of that.
The only
But we
thing
think
that
it's
people
Maddie.
can prove, and my sources looking at being a little stalker, looking at Xana's sister's Facebook and seeing where she went to school and seeing where he went
That's-
to school. That's it. That's my source. That's it. It's nothing behind the scenes. The only thing I can prove and see is that I don't know how
I think
old
it
they
all
are.
worked in together because he probably researched her and because he's in criminology.
Yeah, but
he had
this
the
is my thing.
perfect plan, and
But this wasn't perfect. This was sloppy.
in his
This
mind
was
it
trash.
was. In his
I don't
mind, it was
believe
going to be
so.
the perfect murder. Look, I
Maybe.
think he took a little bit of like Bundy, BTK, Manson, whoever. I think he took a little bit of each of those. They all have their trademark of killing or whatever, and I think he invented his own. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sloppy
Like he
idiot.
wanted his own. The 4 college beautiful girls, and he wanted his own kind
So,
of murder, like
I get
BTK and all
that.
them. He wanted to be
I get
known.
that.
If he was going to go out, he wanted to go out with the storm. Is how I feel.
But
And
victimology
he,
wise, that doesn't make sense. When have you
oh hey
ever
boo,
seen
liking.
when have you
Sorry.
ever seen a serial killer or mass murderer ever? Someone like this not have any signs of this sadistic nature. You and I have talked about this offline with children and stuff, how you see that, and just the sociopathic tendencies. So far, all we have is a kid who's off, who was fat, who liked heroin. That just described half of the people I know in my life.
Right, that's normal these days.
Okay.
And it's really sad.
And he likes animals. He has dogs. There was a dog that was spared there. He had his aunt buy pots and pans that had never touched meat.
Do you think he ever
has-
partied there? Do you think he ever somehow
Maybe.
got into that house?
Maybe.
Like not recently,
Maybe.
but like months ago? Because this could have been planned out 6 months or so. The perfect
He's only
murder.
lived there 6 months. So,
Oh wow, that's
like,
wow.
yeah.
I mean,
He's only lived there
maybe
6
that
months.
was his plan to go there.
Maybe
that was his plan.
Maybe. But what I see from this, everything that they're saying, if you look at anybody, you can find a killer in them. Oh, they vacuum at night. So do I. They don't sleep at night. Neither do I. Neither do you. Most
You
people
know me, Amber.
have
I'll fucking
weird
throw down.
characteristics. You can look at anyone. I zoomed in his eyes. I go, damn, those look like my eyes. Like,
You think
it doesn't matter.
How do you think I'm capable of murder?
I think that you probably don't
If
want
I
me to
ever
answer
murder
that
somebody,
right
how do you think I would do it? And why? See, I like getting into
now. I
minds
don't
of
think
people.
you want me to answer that question. Like,
Oh,
like
I don't care.
I see you snapping and probably
Cleaning
getting
house.
up on it. Probably. But yeah, I'm gonna probably just gloss over that one and plead the
You're like
fifth.
the one person that knows me, Amber.
You were like, good. Then we can answer that offline then, because I don't need to defend you. I'm not registered where you are. There
Okay,
you go.
so since she's not going to answer, y'all got your answer. You answered without answering. I'm a fucking nut.
Yeah. So
yeah,
Ethan
I
was
love you.
6'5", 6'4", 205 pounds. It's a big kid.
How
That's a
tall
big
was
kid.
he?
Well, I looked at his sophomore stats for basketball. He was 6'4.5". He wasn't done
He's
growing
still
either.
growing to do. He still had growing to do at sophomore.
He was a sophomore in high school, and he was 6'4.5", and I think 180. He probably died around 6'5", maybe. He looked like a big kid, at least 190 to 200.
My brother is 6'4", and he's bigger. He don't look like him. My brother don't look like a serial killer.
Oh,
Maybe he does.
Okay. Well, so everything so far suggests that Ethan was killed. Ethan and Xana were the first room, allegedly. Then
I think
came
Ethan,
Addie.
they heard something. Ethan probably came out to see what the fuck's going on, and he got rid
That
of him
would
first because that's his biggest threat was Ethan
Yeah, but I mean,
being a man.
again, Brian is never even gone hunting. Okay, this was in the dark. All right. So
You never know,
he might
Frank.
have gone there. He might have gone there before to party, but they're not going to have the old creeper dude up in their rooms. So maybe
No, he's way too old. He's way too old. Yeah, I agree. He's
Maybe when the girls got home that night, they let the dog out to pee and he crept in there. Maybe I could see that. But anything short of that, I don't see somebody who's never killed before walking in and successfully stabbing 4 people in the heart
and the
walking
downstairs
out.
girls and the 2 girls downstairs didn't hear nothing.
And you spare the dog. And then you wash your hands. You wash your hands.
No,
anywhere.
I don't believe that one.
And
I
then
don't
you
believe he
drive
washed his
your
hands in the house.
father's car away from the scene. And then you brag about it online.
But look, did you see
That
what they
makes
brought?
no sense.
Did you see what they brought out of his house, Amber?
Did you
Hold
see
on,
they
ju-
brought it out of his house with bare hands? So it doesn't matter?
Hold
Because
on,
they
though. Look,
keep fucking it up
I mean,
and contaminating
who was
the
it that was
scene.
live this morning? I can't fucking remember.
Just like when Juan Check It went and got that stuff and put his little grubby hands over it. The chain of command is broken.
Oh
You
God,
cannot
fuck
use it in
him.
court.
I got his
well, fuck
ass
him or not,
with
fuck
my
him. Fuck him or
copyrights.
not. Fuck him or not. I'm trying to say the legal aspect that it doesn't matter is the problem. This was botched. The reason that they have been tight-lipped is because they know that they botched it. And the only thing that they can do with the circumstantial case is not taint the jury pool anymore so that they can have it in that little pocket. Because the further away they go, and everybody who's in this community says everybody has heard about it. Bullshit. Every single person I know that I've asked about this case that doesn't care about this community at all, they think it's crazy, they didn't know shit about it. So respectfully,
People
they
do
don't.
think that. I agree with you on that.
So
That's
yes,
true.
the thing is, yes, you can move this case just 20 miles away, and I promise you will find at least one person that looks at this case and says bullshit, and Brian will walk, because this is circumstantial so far, because you have no murder weapon. You're not going to find it. It's gone. You have circumstantial evidence at best based off of genealogy. By now, hopefully, they have his DNA and it will come back as a match. The car, just based off of him getting a PhD, I bet that car is clean. Let's talk about the fact they said they are looking for 2011 to 2013. His dad's car is a 2015. There's so many things that are strange with this case that just don't make sense. So,
And it was premeditated as fuck.
but again, this kid has gone his whole life. And like, even that online survey, the teacher, the actual TA talked about that. That was a group project. That was approved
The
by her.
BTK teacher?
No, the TA for the online Reddit thing that he posted that everybody is supposedly saying is his motive. She actually did, it's not, she's a young woman. She's had a baby. She said her interview changed my entire outlook on that Reddit post. At first I was like, ooh, they got him on motive. You need to have a confession, a murder weapon, like motive, means, all those things. You don't need to have all of them, but right here, we don't have any of them. We have none of those. We don't have a murder weapon. We don't have the motive. We do have the means, obviously, but again, this
I
is
don't-
circumstantial at
I don't
best
think there-
without knowing.
I kind of don't think there was a motive, Amber. I
But
think
somebody
he-
like this
he
needs
just
a
planned
motive.
this.
Why?
I think he just.
If he planned
I think
it,
I think
he wouldn't have been so
premeditated
careless. If he planned this, it wouldn't have been so careless.
But he
Now,
done
the
a
only
pretty
thing I
good
can
job.
think of, he did a
But he-
shit job. This is the worst job ever. Everybody that I know,
know,
that has
but-
looked at this has said that. This is
I know,
too
but-
stupid. He's made too many errors. And what I'm telling you is,
there's no way
I
he can just
know.
wake up one day and go in there. Oh, I'm going to go kill these people. Bam, and do it. No, it's premeditated. It has to be. He had to
Okay.
plan this.
The person who did this planned it, no doubt, because I have seen things from my end. And I'm telling you, the person who did this has had experience doing this. This is not first time. This person was efficient.
I think he's done it before.
This, without a doubt, this person did this before. These are direct hits.
I think so too. I agree
Direct
with
hits to the heart. And they're in
I
the
agree with
dark.
you.
So what if I can see Brian, maybe, allegedly, the source of light you're looking for that no one can see? He's recording it, maybe. He's got his little serial killer sidekick next to him who does it. Now that I can see. I can see that. I really can see that. Relying on Brian's statement of was anyone else arrested? I honestly believe it was the dad that he's referring to.
I don't think his dad did anything. I think his dad's just
It
guilty,
doesn't matter
maybe
if
of
his
guilty
dad did
knowledge.
anything. He just wanted to know if his dad was going to be arrested for accessory. You know, they hauled his ass in there. It was his car at the crime scene.
He shouldn't be arrested.
Doesn't matter.
I'm on the
Four
his
kids are
dad's
dead.
side here. Poor kid or poor dad. Fuck
I
Brian.
didn't say anything about his dad other than his dad. That was his car, and
I know you
they
didn't say
need
nothing,
to
but I
make sure
am.
he's innocent. You know, but in my
I
opinion,
am.
of
I'm
course
saying
he is.
he's
That was
poor guy.
premeditated. The dad's plane ticket was bought months in advance, from my understanding, and everybody has said that family is really nice.
But I could
But,
see that. I could see that happening, having nothing to do with the murders, coming home for Christmas and stuff, because Christmas plays a part in that. You know, it helped his
All
alibi.
of it does. But I'm only referring
Yeah.
to his accomplice. But people are talking about what did he mean by that statement? And in my
And it's his
opinion,
dad.
he was either trying to throw him off, like Gacy did. Gacy asked the same exact question, or
See, I think he's put all these different murderers together and made his own. He studied all these. I guarantee it. He studied every one of these serial killers. Guarantee it. His mind's interesting, and I want to know it. You there?
I am, because I'm trying not to say like why I'm saying what I'm saying. The person, what I saw was not done by a first-time killer. I am positive of that.
Don't say nothing else, Amber.
I'm not. I'm actually going because I'm tired and cranky, but that is just
Okay,
how that
yeah, go to sleep.
I'm
Well-
upset about it because of the fact that this was so botched. I'm afraid that they're going to be able to get that DNA thrown out. And if they have it thrown out, because the scene was contaminated, then there's a very high probability at that point you have no murder weapon, you have nothing linking him to the scene. All you have is his father's car speeding away from that area. Okay, say he was over there getting crack or heroin.
No, I think
There's-
he.
you know?
I think they got him. I think they got him.
Okay, but again, what you're not understanding what I'm saying, hon, is that if the DNA is thrown out because the defense attorney can easily prove that the scene was contaminated, they cannot use it in court. It's omitted.
I
You
understand that.
So
Yes.
they would have to go to trial. They don't have DNA. They don't have a weapon. They don't have anything. They don't have a motive. They have a PhD student with a known drug habit in a known drug area doing drug-like things. That is it.
With beautiful girls.
Who were in a drug-like area doing drug-like things. That's all we have. We don't have murder one. So I hope to God that DNA was in a place he cannot explain, like under the fingernails or
Yeah.
inoculated in each victim because he cut himself somehow and blah 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 transfer. That is not explainable.
But if they just find fingerprints, he could say, "Hey, I was there for a party," or you know what I'm saying, or
It depends. Was it a bloody fingerprint? There's
Right.
a lot of things, but it doesn't matter. He wore gloves. That's
I want
not
to
gonna
show
happen.
something. They was packing things out of his house. I want
Yeah.
just show this real quick. 1 second, and then my friend Trixie went live this morning and shared it. Of them packing this stuff out. I think he wore all this protection. Hold on, let me find it right
And you
here.
don't want your feet
See, it was
shown or touching
it's
or
not very
contaminated.
clear.
Exactly. And that's exactly what they are. You can Google them yourself. They're feet covers. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting is these right here. And then, which I think are covers that you put on and zip up over your clothes. And I will show you
And
why.
Uline sells them in gray.
Yep. I'll show you. Let me get into that one.
No, because it's with evidence, Crystal Burke.
What?
They wouldn't have their.
And Maligator here, she knows her shit. She works with Jays for Justice too. And yeah, I love these girls. Sub up to them if you haven't. But what about the covers on your body and stuff? What do you think about that, Amber? Those he had.
Hold on, just like Frank. Have you looked at the actual registration? You're saying it's his mother's car, not his dad. You said he's wearing gloves around town as well after the murders. Yes, because it's ass biting cold and it's snowing, but he wasn't wearing them in class for 5 students. So, with that said, have a great night or day, everybody.
Amber, go to bed.
But just like
Go to bed, Amber. Good night. I love you. Love her. I did hear he was wearing gloves around town. I did hear that. This here though with Maligator and Trixie.
Items that they
here. It's interesting. See,
I'm not quite sure why this guy doesn't have.
Can somebody
gloves
get
on,
their
in my opinion,
channel-
they should,
channel link?
But I mean, he's carrying the evidence.
Trixie
but
comes
they
in here a
should-
lot.
She's wearing gloves. It looks like, but I'm not quite sure why they're.
I think they do this
should
channel
always be
together.
wearing gloves. I guess I mean, I think she even has some covers on her feet actually. But now I'm going to show you what I think they are. Those things. I think they're these.
I think she's right.
That's what I think.
Yep. That's what I found last night. Yep.
And these are retardant coveralls, but they also keep blood, fluids. They're non-flammable. They're all kinds of stuff to keep stuff out. And I think this is what we've seen in those pictures. Now get a good look at this because I'm going to re-show you the picture and see what you think, if that looks similar to the color. Does everyone see it?
Yep.
Okay.
I see a pee-pee.
Let's go back to that one. I don't know why no one else is talking about this.
I truly do think that that is them. You know.
I do too, right here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
Yeah,
it's
you can
gotta
see
be.
that color in there.
In this bag.
Yeah, and when you order through,
I mean, they're
Uline,
almost
you
the
get,
same color.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and you get a number, a huge amount
Mm-hmm.
when you order through.
What do you
them,
guys
so-
think? Anybody? Opinions? If anyone thinks this is. Who else is in here? Anybody think this is? Yeah. I think to be honest, because they're more protective, Heather Bratt, I think they keep out more than just the average. I mean, that's just my opinion.
They appear to be more close to the skin and a little thicker than the
Yeah, they're
white.
thicker. They're more durable. So I think they just are
Yeah.
more protective. And I mean, I think this is another bag of them. And I mean, look how they carry them out right with the covers for your feet. And he can argue this and say, yeah, I had that stuff. I'm in the program. And that very well could be. But it's also a coincidence that you could also use them if you want to go and unalive 4 people in their sleep with a knife. So it just is kind of suspicious that he has both, it looks to me. At least I know for the feet covers, because that's exactly what these are. And I only noticed it because I work in the medical field, and I instantly seen that box, and I was like, why is no one talking about this? Anything else? All I keep hearing is icon. I agree, Noah. I just think they're all so hyped up.
Y'all, hey, go sub up to them for real. Tim Alligator and Trixie. Crimes, Crafts, and Chaos. I think they do this channel together. I'm not sure yet, but I love them both. And they're really good. Go sub up to them. They're diggers. They get some good information, and see, like this, they point out this kind of stuff. Okay, so if he wore one of these suits, can y'all hear me? Let me make sure I'm not muted. Hold on. Okay, I'm not muted. Like, he wore those suits probably. Where's the suit, though, that he wore? If he wore one of them. Now because there's something to that. Why would you have boxes of this shit? You know what I'm saying? And I agree that I think the top one that's circled in red is that suit that she showed. Can I pin that? Yes, please go sub up to them. I love them. Let me see if I can pin that. That's my girls. Excuse me. Hold on just one second. It's probably going to be loud. Let me pin that. They, Alligator, I guess she still does. I don't know, but she helps Jay a lot. Jay for Justice. I love Jay too. Jay's my personal friend too. They're all good people. I love them. They're kind of doing their own little thing now. And then there's another one with Jay, Potato, Incognito Potato. I love her. Thank you, Fairy Floss. I love you. So let's see what else. Let's just listen to them.
Up, and sometimes when they're just hyped up and want to hyper focus on him, and that's the thing, is like everyone's been so invested in this case and just picking apart everything, but then clear as day we have these evidence pictures that explains a lot and no one's talking about it, which is crazy to me. So I just thought I would share that. I thought it was interesting because I haven't seen anyone else say anything about this, which is crazy to me. Crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop.
We thought that he wore total body protection.
Yeah, that was our thoughts for us. And then I also want to clear up one other big fat rumor. So I'm gonna share this. This is from the Corner Club. For everyone saying they kicked him out of the bar that night, Suspect was not and has not been here. No one was removed from the bar the evening of the incident. Stop calling us.
Well, that's where a lot of these people that speculate the wrong
Do what you
way,
gotta do, Frank.
Basically, well, he was there. There was some, because there's so much drinking. So it's like an assumption that somebody was thrown out because it is a college town.
But I mean, that's all we heard. Somebody was thrown out. Somebody was thrown out. He was kicked out. Well, here it's right from Corner Club. No one was kicked out. So
Sydney, the only imprint that would be left would be the actual outline, not the actual full-blown imprint of the shoe, just the outline,
correct.
if anything.
And I really think that he wore them in, but I think he put new ones to go out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's nothing, even if he took them off, there's no, obvious footprints that they've talked about. So I mean, and it did snow the next day, but I don't know what the weather was like that night into that morning.
Supposedly they did find shoe imprints, but we don't
it makes
know.
sense if you have a booty on, you can just see the shape and the size. Yeah, he had a whole box of them. And I think that, I'm going to be honest, I think he was there more than just that night. I think he had been there checking things out multiple times when he was, when people were sleeping or people weren't home. I think he was there checking on things and seeing ways to get in. What I really thought was kind of crazy is this. When we thought they wouldn't accommodate him, but they are.
I think for now they're going to accommodate him no matter what.
Well, if he does have a diagnosis of severe OCD, that is a medical reason. So I think he possibly could get away with that. Because that would be a medical reason, in my opinion. But let's see. And then we'll just share the creepers pictures. Alleged creeper from today. And I just want to go over this because, I mean, let's all be real here. I was not expecting this when I seen these.
Hi, Nicolina. Thank you.
I love Nicolina too. I do.
Thanks, Nicolina.
Somebody outside my door.
Well, if they don't accommodate him, then that could be grounds, like prejudice.
Yeah, I mean, he has rights, medical things. Like, just because you're in prison or wherever, if you have medical issues, they still have to give you your medications. They can't just like cut you off of, things because you're in prison. You still, and they've been way more lenient now with this because there's so many protesting and rights activists and all of this stuff that they don't want to even attempt to not do that. But does everyone else think he looks way bigger than we anticipated? I know they say he's 6 feet tall, but when you see him next to these cops, he just looks giant. And let's talk about those eyes for a minute. Staring into your soul.
Fucking crazy, man.
Imagine waking up to that.
Oh my God.
And I was curious because they did say he was in boxing, if that's how his nose got broke.
Could be. Because, yeah, it looks really bad.
Yeah. And they said
I knew he was big by them just saying he was 6 foot. I mean,
his body's not big. Obviously, he looks ripped because he's got a bulletproof vest on. But I'm just saying, his arms and stuff don't look. I'm just saying, height wise, it just, I don't know. When I see those pictures of him, he just looks like, this little skinny, scrawny dude. But then you see him next to these cops, and it's like, yikes, he is big. Yes, he is, for sure. Let's go back to that picture that we said yikes to, that he literally is his twin. Where is it at? Here we go. Because let's not forget this.
I still want to be a fly on the wall in that court, in the courtroom.
Oh yeah. And when it comes 15 more minutes, we will be going over and we can share some of them streaming. You just can't constantly share them because they will copy strike you. But we're going to be sharing some live coverage of them outside. And I think the hearing will be super quick if he's going to say yes. And I think they're going to take him right from there and fly him right back. I wouldn't be surprised if they have the hearing tonight. I'll really be shocked if they don't. Because, we've seen them where they've done them late at night. Because they're going to want to get charges on him. And I will keep an eye, too. I have both the court sites open. So if anything changes, we can see that as well.
And I feel that they're going to, from Idaho, they're going to be there to pick him up. And he'll be in Idaho by morning.
He'll be in Idaho by tonight. They said 7 8 hours to get back. So, I mean, I don't know. I literally want to just like post that corner club thing on our page. I wish we could, but not yet. So we got to get them likes and subs up so we can put the stuff out when we see it, because we've been holding on to those evidence pictures all night for today. Let me just see if anything. But I don't know. I'm not sure if any of the other victims' families will be there, Sydney. I know he said he was going to be there, and I know that his parents and his sisters will be there. So I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if the other families will be there today because they're. I wouldn't be able to.
I would literally want to like.
I can't read, period, because I'm blind.
It's just his criminal complaint. It says, in that or on about said date, the defendant have been charged with the commission of any crime from another state, or having been convicted of a crime in another state and having escaped from confinement or having broken the term. Okay, I'll just zoom on it. Can you guys read it?
I can't read, period, because I'm blind.
It's just his criminal complaint. It says, in that or on about said date, the defendant have been charged with the commission of any crime from another state, or having been convicted of a crime in another state and having escaped from confinement or having broken the term of his or her bail, probation, parole. The defendant has been located within or believed to be within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So it's just his arrest when they arrested him. I'll show you the other page. It's just when they first took him in Pennsylvania. Thanks, Heather. Yeah, see his eye color says blue, and all of his pictures blue. But then you see his picture of him arrested, and literally they're black.
Yes.
It's crazy to me. I was just showing them here, like, how insane, like, even just this picture. I mean, that's such a creepy picture. I don't even want to put that up. It just, I don't know. I will, but it just, he literally creeps me out. I can't. This one is just like scares my soul. But like, you can see his eyes are clearly blue. I mean, that's just, he looks so thin in this picture. Ugh. I can't. And then I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to see if I can do a side by side here. I don't know if I can because I don't have them next to each other in here, but I will see.
Or we can play the presser after.
Huh?
We can play the presser after.
Yeah. So like this one. Yeah, let me know when we're getting close because I'm not paying attention. Like, look at this. They are completely blue. Blue, blue, blue. Blue. And then you go to, where's that at? Okay, I want to stop this. Oh, what is this? She's just sharing all kinds of stuff. Who just shared that?
That would have been Brett.
Oh, here, I'll share this. Why didn't you tell me what you were talking about? It's like, okay. So here's this. Advisory today. State police to hold news conference. Which state police? Idaho or the Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania.
They're going to hold a press conference. Taken into custody, emergency response. So they're going to hold a news conference at 4:30. So an hour after. So it'd be 3:30 our time. Media contact. Here, I'll rewind it. It's going into court. Ooh, they got like ARs and everything. Ooh! My nerves can't handle it. I'm freaking out. I like having.
Good afternoon. For those, if this is the first time you've met me, my name is Michael Gibson. I'm the police chief here at the city of Mount Dora. as most of you are aware, members of the Mount Dora Police Department, the Lake County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the State Attorney's Office, well, correction, they didn't respond yet, responded to 161 Lake Margaret Circle in reference to a double homicide a couple of days ago. The victims of the homicide are identified as Daryl and Cheryl.
I'm not sure what the hell just happened there. Oh my God. We're gonna stop sharing. Fuck that. Let's see here. Today, let's put today in the filter here. I want to find us some good stuff here. I'm on his case now since I know he's criminology, and yeah, that's the shit I want to know. Did we watch this? No. This is how they're going to take him back too, because I'm curious how they're going to take him back to Idaho. So that's what this is. Uno momento. This is Law and Crime Network.
I'm Anjanette Levy, and thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime for Sidebar. Welcome back. We are coming to you from Moscow, Idaho. This is where those 4 University of Idaho college students were senselessly murdered on November 13th. They were Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. And now a man has been charged. His name is Brian Koberger. He was a 28-year-old Washington State University PhD candidate.
Hey, when Evil entered. Hey, it's good to see you.
Answer to those 4 first-degree murder charges and a felony burglary charge. So we thought we should talk a little bit about what the challenges are in apprehending somebody such as this and transporting them across country. Joining me to do so is Art Roderick. He is a retired U.S. Marshal. He was also the Assistant Director of Investigations for the U.S. Marshal Service, which tracks down fugitives. Art, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on. I know that the U.S. Marshal Service wasn't involved in this particular arrest, but I was hoping you could offer us some insight into what it takes to track down somebody going cross-country and conducting that surveillance.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think what law enforcement did in this particular case is exactly what they're supposed to do. They didn't share a lot of information with the public, and I know it can be very frustrating for family members, for press.
I think they've done a great job not
everything that's
sharing.
going on within the investigation. But I think in this particular case, it worked out very well, where law enforcement held a lot of information back. And generally, having done this over almost 40 years, I can tell you that usually when you do press conferences and you're not sharing a lot of information with the public, then you've got something really good going on the investigation.
Thank you.
Country. It's not like it used to be about 20, 25 years ago. It's fairly easy now with computers, cell phone tracking devices that law enforcement has, looking at social media, figuring out cell phone drops, towers, what phones were connecting at a particular time, especially in the Moscow area. And I think once you put all that together, also with a lot of blood at the scene and DNA, mixed DNA that they're able to sort at this particular time, I think when you put all that together, that led them to this particular individual, which then led them to Pennsylvania, where they conducted some surveillance before they made the arrest. But it's not as difficult as it used to be. With all the technology that we have, and not only that, but we have all these traffic cameras that are set up and toll booth cameras. And to go from Idaho all the way to Pennsylvania, obviously he would have had to have hit some tolls and some traffic cameras on the way, and they might have been able to follow him all the way across the country using that type of information. Of course, that's all very, very resource driven. It takes a lot of time by law enforcement to come up with that information.
I would assume they would have put one of those GPS tracking devices somewhere on his vehicle before he left. Maybe they did that, maybe they didn't. But would they physically follow him, or would they just use those other means in order to track him?
There's other means. I mean, anytime you use a tracking device on a vehicle, you'll always have to be worried that something's going to go wrong. It's going to fall off. The batteries are going to die. And if that's the only means you've got of tracking the vehicle, then you've completely lost your suspect. They can track him by cell phone. They can track him by the computer, by when he signs online into a social. You can track them by social media sites. So there's plenty of other ways to track individuals instead of just putting a bird dog, or what we used to call a bird dog, or a tracking device on the vehicle. They might have done that. I don't know. They really didn't have to in this day and age. But a lot of times having 2 or 3 ways of tracking an individual, especially an individual like this, is the way to go.
There was some reporting that they conducted surveillance on him in Pennsylvania, maybe following him into grocery stores, things like that. Talk to us about conducting surveillance.
Yeah, I mean, all the law enforcement agencies large police departments and all the Fed agencies, whether it's Marshals, ATF, DEA, FBI, all have surveillance units that specifically do this for a living. I mean, that's what they do. They go out and surveil individuals, and they're very good at what they do. So for them to be surveilling this individual, they might have been putting the final touches on their affidavits to get the arrest warrants, and also to start looking at the extradition process of getting him from Pennsylvania back to Moscow, Idaho.
Art, the Monroe County District Attorney's Office said that they went in somewhere between 1:30 and 1:45 a.m. to.
Okay, so I wonder if they went in and searched his apartment when he left to go to Pennsylvania. Is that whenever did they go into his apartment stuff then? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if they done that. Yes, I agree with you when Evil entered. I agree. I want this. It's horrible.
Get Brian Kohberger out of his parents' house. That sounds like it could be pretty dangerous.
Any entry into a house is dangerous. I can't tell you how many U.S. Marshals have been lost over the years doing entries into homes. And I think this was the key part too. They had been conducting surveillance on this individual, so I think they had a pretty good idea of what his habits were, maybe what time he went to bed. But I'm sure they conducted surveillance on the house, determined everybody had gone to sleep, lights went out, house was quiet, and then they made the entry. We used to do that all the time. And I mean, the Marshals arrest 100,000 fugitive felons every year. So they're pretty used to doing these types of arrests, particularly very early in the morning when the individuals are sleeping, so that they don't pose a threat to law enforcement and other family members in the house.
Art, I know the U.S. Marshals Service wasn't involved in this particular apprehension, but talk to us about the challenge of then taking somebody from Pennsylvania across the country to Idaho and how that will likely happen.
Yeah, well, the Marshal Service basically is in charge of transportation of prisoners within the United States. And they do about 206,000 prisoner moves, both by aircraft. We have our own airlines, Justice Prisoner Alien Transportation System, or as people like to call it, Con Air. But the marshals have that authority, and they do it for the federal court system, but they also assist state and local entities out there based on a request to move prisoners across the country. And they do this every single day. And they're very good at it. And they have this, it's the only government run airline in the country. And amazingly, even though it's government run, it works very, very well.
I can't imagine that they're going to drive him or put him on a commercial flight. I would see this happening on a private aircraft. What are your thoughts on that?
No, they would. This individual is too high profile, and a lot of the state and local entities, the larger law enforcement agencies out there, usually have extradition units of their own, and they deal with either driving a prisoner from one location to the other or flying them commercially. I can't imagine they would fly this particular individual commercially, both because of the security issue from the public, but also he's such a high profile individual. I would think they would fly him back on a private plane, and the request might be into the Marshal Service already, considering his extradition hearing is coming up. And we would put him on a small aircraft by himself with 3 or 4 marshals or law enforcement and go ahead and move him across the country just like that.
Art, how quickly do you see them transporting Brian Kohberger from Pennsylvania to Idaho?
Transportation of prisoners across the U.S. is done very quietly, secretively. Marshal Service or any other entity does not talk about transportation issues or security issues or when an individual is being moved. So it could happen very quickly, or they might take some time and wait a little while. But I know you guys will be stationed at the courthouse, at the jail, probably over at the police department also to try to get some information on when he's coming in. But that's something that's kept very close to the chest. You're not going to know until the vehicle or a convoy pulls in. And I can tell you in the past, from the Marshal Service perspective, sometimes we send decoy convoys around so that we can ensure the security and safety of a particular individual being moved.
Interesting. Well, you know us all too well. I think we'll be stationed out at the airport as well over
I'm
in
sure
Pullman.
you will be, yes.
Well,
Yes.
Art Roderick, retired U.S. Marshal, former Assistant Director of Investigations for the U.S. Marshal Service. Thank you so much for your time, your expertise, and for joining us here on Sidebar. We hope you'll come back sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Angela.
And that's it for this edition of Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. It is produced by Sam Goldberg and Logan Harris. Bobby Zoe.
Okay. Hey, Crimes, Crafts, and Chaos. I was just playing your stuff. I hope you don't mind. Because you and I love you, Maligator, and you. Which one is it? Is it Maligator or are you Trixie? Y'all gonna confuse me. Are y'all sharing that channel? Is that what y'all doing? Because y'all are doing really good. We're gonna get y'all going. We gotta get you out there more. Okay, Maligator. Okay. That's what I thought. We love you. I do. Y'all done great today. Because I'm interested in those. Oh, Heather too. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Heather, she's an OG. I love it. You know, like people talking about those outfits, though. I agree, Maligator. Why? Because even if they, don't absorb blood and yeah, I guarantee he wore something like that. Guarantee it. The booties. And I don't think it's his first crime. Why would he have so much of it? Thank you, Frank, for sharing it. That's my girls. Yeah, we got to support each other on here. There's too much hate, man. Right, why does he have a whole box? Why does he have a whole box? Why does he have Maligator pointed out the outfits, the color and stuff, and why does he have those? More than one. And you could tell it's more than one the way they were stacked up, whatever that police was carrying it out or whatever, boxes of it. And it's hard telling what was in them boxes that we didn't see, that like that green box, I think. See, I'm like y'all, Maligator. I want to know that kind of detail. Tell me what's in them boxes and why has he got it? Why has he got so many? They need to start, I don't know. He's only been there 6 months. It's crazy. Yeah, they're no good after one wear, but why does he have so many, Frank? If he only needed one for that one crime or that house, why does he need more? Why does he need boxes of booties, the foot booty things? Why does he need a big box of those? Why? You would only need like one set, maybe two, take a backup set or something, but no, I'm not buying it. My dog's sorry, y'all. Winifred! Hey! Sorry, y'all. Wendy Winter, I agree. I think he did other crimes too, and I'm curious. I'm going to start digging around Pennsylvania area because he came to Washington or whatever. He was on there 6 months. That's just the weirdest fucking thing to me. Hold on just a minute. We just got pizza and stuff in. Hey, I'm going to potty for a minute. I'm going to put some music on or something. Y'all talk amongst yourself for like 5 minutes, please. I love y'all. I just got to take a potty break. I'm going to get me a slice of this pizza. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, Maligator, look. What I think he's done, okay, of course he knows BTK because his teacher wrote BTK's autobiography and everything, and of course we know him. He studied these serial killers' minds. He studied Bundy. He may have studied Chris Watts, as far as we know. He studied BTK. He maybe Night Stalker. He kind of reminds me of Night Stalker, Maligator, because he done it during the middle of the night. Remember how Night Stalker would just go in and then I think he took a little bit from each one of these serial killers and made his own persona serial killer. Does that make sense? See, I got so much I can say that I want to get out, and I don't know how to get it out of my body, to tell you all. Because I think I could probably be a serial killer because I think like that. Yes, so see, that's what I'm saying. I think he's took a little bit from each of these serial killers and made his own persona of his serial killer. He wanted to be distinctive, and just like these other ones, he was obsessed with these serial killers. He reminds me of the Night Stalker, though. He does, like not looks or nothing, but the way he done the murders. Yep, Manson. Guarantee it. Because Manson had all the pretty girls and stuff, remember? I don't know. I'm curious what I was going to come out of this. He definitely was trying to create his own persona of a serial killer. And I do believe he has done it before. And I do believe he thought he was going to get away with this. Premeditated. You watched The Investigator on the Night Stalker? I watched that documentary on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It's a really good documentary on the Night Stalker. And they done a really good job with that documentary. And yeah, I've dug into him too. That's what I said. That Brian reminds me of the Night Stalker. But he looks like Bundy. He knows about BTK. I don't know. The Manson, I mean, I think he got the pretty girl idea persona from that, maybe. All this is in my opinion, allegedly. I'm just speculating and talking, and the stuff that runs through my mind speaking to you all. I usually don't think before I talk. What, Allie? The one on Night Stalker? Winnie! Winifred, come here, baby. Come here. Winnie Benny. Come here, baby. It kept your... It was a good one, though. It was a really good Night Stalker on Netflix. Go watch it. Go watch it. There was one, the Gabriel Fernandez one, I believe it was. I watched like 5 minutes of it, and I couldn't. It broke my fucking heart, man. I don't see how people followed that case. I couldn't do it. And then I tried to watch that documentary. Oh my god. Yeah, Allie, it broke my fucking... I couldn't do it. I wanted to watch it, because I didn't follow it because I already knew there's some cases I just don't even go towards because I know it's going to hurt my heart. And there was one, Harmony Montgomery. That one, that's close to my heart for some reason. And I try not to go to the babies. But I tried to watch that Gabrielle one. Oh my God, I cried. I couldn't do it. And I thought about it for days, and I only watched like 5-10 minutes of the documentary, and that's like the only thing I've ever studied on it because I never got into it. I can't do the babies. So y'all, if you ever come and have cases you want me to do or whatever, please no babies. I can do like teenagers and stuff that don't bother me as bad, and I don't know why, but yeah, please, I can't do the babies. Makes me want to cry now thinking about Harmony. That one's poor little baby girl. She was so beautiful. And I bet she was in that fucking refrigerator. Everyone just please pray for Harmony Montgomery's body to be found so she can be laid to rest and rest in peace. I'll never forget you, Harmony. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting a little mushy. I started talking about her. I don't know why that case is so close to me. It's the one I got into and I couldn't help it. And I tried to stay away from that little baby. She was so cute. And the way they did her poor mama. I follow her mama on TikTok. Bless her soul. Sorry, y'all. Y'all done got me fucking crying. I got myself crying. Okay, let me go to the bathroom and grab me a slice of pizza. I'll be right back. I'll get you some music going.
tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some honestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible.
Hey y'all, can you hear me? I'm back. I am back. I really think I'm gonna jump off here. God, we've been on here 3 hours. Maybe I'm gonna go take my shower stuff and get on my bed. And would y'all be interested in coming back doing a late night chat a little later? A couple hours? I would like to start doing lives at night, but everybody goes live at night and I don't want to sit here and talk to myself. Zero. Are y'all here? Hello? Anybody out there? Hey, well, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow or later tonight tomorrow. Ready for Cappy talk? I don't really know much about Cappy. That's Cher's area. She doing a live tonight? I'm so out of the loop. All right, well, I might talk to y'all later. I'm going to see what's going on, and I'm sure I'll see y'all somewhere. Love y'all. Good night. Thank you for being here. Bye.